So we're going back in time a little bit today. About 2.5 years ago, I made a video about making an easy mochi recipe at home. Now, I absolutely love mochi. It is one of my favorite treats. I don't commonly eat ice cream mochi. I eat a red bean paste mochi. It's a little bit different. It's dairy-free, it's vegan, it is amazing, and it only has a few ingredients. It only takes a few minutes to make. Now, that mochi video is my most viewed video to date. Everybody has loved that video. But I did want to update it and answer some questions for you because I do get a lot of questions on that video, and every mochi video that I see come out doesn't answer these questions either. Now, I did make quite a few mochi videos since that first one. The version that we're gonna make today uses sweet rice flour. Now, this one specifically is Mochiko sweet rice flour. You don't have to get this brand, but you do need a sweet rice flour. That's what makes mochi. Now, you might find the Mochiko sweet rice flour, but there's also other brands of sweet rice flour, and you can also use glutinous rice flour, this stuff right here. They both work exactly the same. A lot of the questions that I get are, can you use regular rice flour and then put sugar in it? Can you just use regular rice flour? Can you use regular flour? The answer is no. Mochi, this sticky, stretchy, sweet, gooey thing, can only be made with sweet rice, glutinous rice, or sweet rice or glutinous rice flours. Can't use any other type of rice flour. It simply will not work. So let's get moving on this recipe today. This is going to be the quickest, the easiest mochi recipe on the internet, mochi time. So yeah, this recipe is incredibly easy. We just need some Mochiko red bean paste and some sugar. We're gonna need a little bit of water and then really a starch of your choice. The very first thing that we wanna do is we wanna prep our red bean paste. Now for the red bean paste, I just got a can of red bean paste. You can find this at any Asian market. You can make your own red bean paste by picking up some adzuku beans. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know. But it's just like a Japanese red bean that you can cook and sweeten. It's a pretty simple recipe. I'll see if I can find one and leave it. I don't have a recipe for it, but I'll see if I can find a recipe and leave it in the instructions below. Now, I know a lot of people, when they make these, use ice cream. You can use ice cream if you like. You can use a vegan ice cream. If you happen to have some of that vegan ice cream left over from what I just made last week, you could use that. I don't have any. I wish I did. Now, I'm just gonna give this a quick stir in the can because it is a little wet. It does kind of taste like a sweet bean, which probably sounds a little weird, but I'm telling you, this stuff is delicious. Now, if you're gonna be using an ice cream, this would be the same method, but I'm just gonna use a tablespoon scoop. I'm not gonna be making huge, big balls of mochi. I just want smaller ones. And all I'm gonna be doing is taking out a scoop and then dropping the scoop into a little cupcake tray liner here. So at this point, we just have our red bean paste. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these in the freezer while we prep the mochi dough. Now, the mochi dough is really easy. We just need to start off with a microwave-safe bowl, the Mochiko sweet rice flour, or whatever brand sweet rice flour you have. So we're gonna start with 1 cup sweet rice flour. We're gonna do a 1/4 cup of sugar. And we're just gonna mix the sugar and mochi flour, the sweet rice flour together. Just make sure they're nice and distributed throughout the bowl. Okay, so now that this guy's all mixed up pretty evenly, we're just gonna add 1 cup of water. And we're just gonna mix this up until it's a nice cohesive dough. It's gonna be a pretty thin, runny dough, a lot thinner than what you would probably expect. Just gonna use my spatula here, scrape the sides down. We're gonna wanna keep this handy. So we're gonna cover this up. You can cover it up with some cellophane. I just got the Pyrex top here. This works perfectly. We're gonna throw it in the microwave for 3 to 3.5 minutes. Now, I do wanna add here that my microwave is a 1500 watt microwave. Now, I'm gonna take it out probably about every minute, use this rubber spatula and mix it up until we mix it up and it cooks even into a solid kind of dough. Now you can see this definitely got a little bit thicker. It's kind of thicker in the middle. We're starting to form that dough, but all I want to do is make sure that this is nice and mixed up really evenly. And same thing, scrape down the sides and then back in the microwave for round 2. So the microwave just went off. I have a baking sheet lined with some parchment paper, and I'm also gonna use some cornstarch. I'm just gonna kinda make sure that this is evenly coated with cornstarch because this mochi is sticky. It's incredibly sticky. So I'm just gonna take this out of the microwave. It is hot, very hot. And then we're just going to dump the mochi right on to the cornstarch here. Just gonna add a bit more cornstarch to the top. Then I have a rolling pin that I'm gonna add some cornstarch to, because we just don't want anything to stick. And then all we're gonna do is just roll this out while it's hot. It's gonna be pretty easy to do. You're just gonna wanna make sure that it's pretty even. I'm rolling it out to about the size of my regular baking pan here, maybe a little bit into the inside of it. So at this point, I'm gonna drop this in my freezer for just about 10 minutes or so, 20 minutes maybe, just to allow it to kind of firm up, and it's gonna kind of tighten up and make it easier to work with so we can roll it around our red bean paste balls. Okay, now this didn't take that long at all. This is nice and cool, and it's very workable. It's gonna be very pliable. Now I just have a 3.5-inch ring mold. I have a little bit of the starch on my hands. Just gonna make life a little bit easier to work with. We're just gonna take the ring mold here, cut out a 3.5-inch section of the mochi. I'm just gonna use a brush to brush off any of the extra cornstarch on the inside. We're just gonna take one of my little red bean packets, drop it right in the middle, and then all I'm gonna do is just work this around, kind of pinching, almost like a dumpling. Now these 3.5 inchers here might be pretty big for this mochi, so we're gonna end up with a pretty thick mochi bottom, but that's okay. I'm just gonna take some plastic wrap. I just have some of this press and seal, and we're just gonna kind of squeeze this in pretty tight to make a nice little round package. It's gonna really form that in real nice. Drop that back into the cookie sheet and then just kind of move on. Now I will say it does take a little bit of practice to wrap these guys up properly, but after you've done a few of them, they end up coming out pretty great. I have most of them here wrapped, but you could just take a piece of the mochi dough here, just a scrap of it, and then just have the mochi how it is. It's good on its own. It's like a nice chewy snack. I'm gonna throw these in the freezer to firm up. They only need to go in there for 30, 40 minutes, and then they're gonna be awesome. So here it is, look at that. That is our done mochi. It's beautiful. I love these things. I love them, they're so good. Let's cut it open. Yeah, there it is. There it is, that's the red bean mochi. You can see the red bean paste. This stuff is so good. I love it so much. These are delicious. Well, this is my new mochi video. I hope I answered all of your questions. If I didn't, click this box up here. This is gonna have the mochi in the steamer, mochi from rice. It's gonna have all my mochi videos. I've been doing mochi for years. Love this stuff.